Alright, we're going to take a look at a word problem here that you may see on a test coming up soon. It says the cost to place an ad in a newspaper for 1 week is a linear function of the number of lines in the ad. When I say linear function, we can think of that as the same thing as a linear equation. Since the cost is a function of the number of lines, the cost is y and the number of lines in the ad is x. Alright, so the first thing I want to point out to you here is that when you're reading a problem like this, and you see the word function, right there I see linear function. Alright, what comes right before the word function, in this place, the cost, that's your y, and what comes right after, number of lines, that is your x. Alright, so cost is y, number of lines is x, and it's based on the fact that of their placement around the word function here in our problem. Alright, so we're trying to figure out an equation, or we want to write an equation here that represents this situation where we're possibly putting an ad in the newspaper. So we can see in our chart that for three lines in the newspaper, it would cost us $13.50. If we had an ad that was 5 lines long, it would be $18.50, and if we had one that was 10 lines long, it would be $31. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do in order to write an equation here would be to choose 2 points, because I need a slope. And in order to figure out what my points are here, I want to label the fact that the lines are my x and the cost is my y. Alright, we just talked about that a second ago. And I want to pick 2 ordered pairs here. I can pick any 2 ordered pairs. Here's the first ordered pair. I'm going to write this off to the side as 3, 1350. And my second point I'm going to pick is 5, 1850. Now, I could have picked 1031 if I wanted to, but I didn't want to, so I'm picking these 2. Alright, the next thing I want to do is get my slope, so I'm going to go ahead and write down what the slope formula is, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm going to plug in my points and see what happens here. So I have 1850 minus 1350, 5 take away 3, and you can see that my slope is 5 over 2. So I'm going to write that down over here, that my slope is 5 over 2. And in order to save a little bit of space, I'm going to erase this so that I can do some more work here. So I'm going to pause this and we'll do that. Alright, so we have our slope. Now we need a y-intercept. So I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to plug in one of my ordered pairs. Now I could plug in one of these ordered pairs that I used to get the slope, or I could plug in this other ordered pair right here if I wanted to, and actually that's what I'm going to do, is plug that one in. So the y is 31, okay, because that's a cost, and I'm going to plug in my slope, so 5 over 2. X is 10 from the point that I picked, and then we're looking for b, the y-intercept. So we have 31 equals 50 over 2 plus b, and that's 30 equals, or 31 rather, let me erase that. Whoop. Alright, we'll fix that. 31 equals 25 plus b, and so b is equal to 6. So I'm going to write that over here, that our y-intercept is 6. So the last thing here I want to do is write my my equation, and my equation is y equals 5 over 2 x plus 6. Alright, the next question, or the next thing that I want to do here, is figure out my slope, which I already know, and then more importantly I want to figure out what it represents in the problem, and do the same thing with the y-intercept. So Slope is 5 over 2, and if I remember that it's rise over run for the slope, rise being the y, I can go back up here and I can remember that my y is the cost and that the x is the number of lines. So this 5 right here is a cost. The units are dollars, right? And the 2 stands for lines, because this is my y, my rise, over my run x. So this slope tells me that for every $5 I spend, I get 2 lines of a newspaper ad. Another way I can look at this, and you guys might like to do this, you can take 5 divided by 2 and make it a decimal, and you get 250. And if I want to make it a fraction, I can put a 1 under it. That's dollars, this is lines. Okay, and so the slope is telling me that it's $2.50 for every line I put in the newspaper. Same thing as 5 over 2, it's just 250 over 1. They represent the same amounts though. So when I say what the slope represents, I am going to say that the slope is the cost per line. Okay. Now the y-intercept, which is 6, that's my initial cost. So, whoops, let me erase that. The y-intercept is the initial cost. So basically what's happening here is that if you want to buy an ad in the newspaper, it doesn't matter how many lines the ad is. It could be 2 lines or it could be 50 lines, and the newspaper is going to charge you $6 just to get started. Alright? Then after that, they're going to charge you per line $2.50 for every line. So the larger the ad, it is going to be more expensive, but based on the fact that you get charged $6 regardless, you probably want to have an ad that's worth your while rather than a short one, because you're going to pay at least $6 to get your ad run. Alright, there's one more question I want to answer here, and we're going to use our equation to do it. I want to know how much it costs. How much does it cost to run an 18-line ad? So this is our question, and we're going to use our equation, which is y equals 5 over 2x plus 6 to answer that. Now 18 lines, I want to go back up to my original problem to make sure I'm plugging that into the right spot in my equation. So I go back up and I see that lines, that's my x. So now I can go back down and I know that I can plug in 18 for x, and that'll help me answer the question. So y equals 5 over 2. I'm going to put 18 right in there for the x. I'm going to add 6, and we'll do the math here. We can cross cancel. That's a 1 and that's a 9. 5 times 9 is 45 plus 6, and we get 51. So we can say that we want to use a sentence to answer this. An ad that is 18 lines long costs $51. And that'd be the answer to that question right there.